So my friend Drew over at Tailosive Tech made a very interesting video which had a very interesting premise. It was called "Why Do We Care About Tech?" And instead of diving into the whole premise about why we care about tech, there was one part that stood out to me that made me think about some stuff afterwards. And spoiler alert, I'm going to give away part of the video. So if you haven't seen it, I recommend you go take a look. Link in the description. He talked about escapism. And that resonated with me. Now, not to make this the Randy and Drew show, because we are friends and we do talk a lot. These are conversations him and I have talked a lot about over the years. I mean, I know how he thinks. I would wager that he knows how I think when it comes to these underlining premises on the greater picture of what we do. But the tech community as a whole is about escaping those outside influences, the outside world of everything that's happening. Now it could be something as drastic as, world events and wars and all that, or it could be something more personal and intimate that's going on in your own family. And something that we can all kind of bond over and distract ourselves about would be tech. No different than video games, no different than music, no different than insert whatever you're passionate about here. It's about having that community. But the escapism part, that's a very interesting point of view, because whether you're the viewer coming and going into these creators' lives, or you're the creator making it, I noticed that it also has its ups and flows. It comes and goes. Let's go back maybe 2018, 2019, what we would call the peak of tech content, at least on YouTube. I'm being biased because that's when I was around and I saw all these nobodies become somebodies during that era, okay? And I'm sure some of you saw them as well. How many of them are still around now? How many of them have you not seen in a while? Now, to be fair to me, I was around. I existed in many different formats for many different channels at the time. This Randy Nexus was not a thing yet. Even my own personal channel was not necessarily what it is now during that time. But I was very much in the community as a content creator, writing music for people, doing podcasts, making even special appearances for other people's live streams. But I was also a viewer. And for whatever reason, I kind of stopped watching a lot of those guys as well. And again, how many of them kind of just went away? How many of them are still at the grind, but we just haven't gone back to seeing their content because maybe we grew out of it, right? The commentary community as a whole in the tech sector is just as temporary as the phone that sits on our desk during that year. Now, we do have our tried and trues, our MKBHDs and Mr. Who's the Boss and all those. But outside of the review units and all that stuff, the people who wanted to carve a niche out to do something very hyper specific about said community, in this case tech, those content creators have changed as well, as has the tech as well. And the reason why I don't post every day, even though I could, I've shown that I could. The reason why I don't talk about Apple every video, even though I could, and I show that I could, is because that is not the whole picture of tech. There are channels out there that will cover only Apple all the time because it drives the clicks. And then there's the anti-Apple channels. And then there's everything in between all that. My perspective of this channel was to always cover about the business of all these tech companies. But I talk about Apple because I use Apple. Just like I will talk about music or musical equipment because I'm a musician. And in this video, I'm talking about content creators because I've been making content for a long time. But let's just stay on Apple for a second. If I was to just cover Apple, we are going to have slow months, just like right now. Even though we're expected an iPhone SE any second now, sometimes that tech is dry. I don't want to pretend to get excited about talking about an iPhone SE or the next MacBook Air or the next iPad, whatever. If it's not genuine, I don't want to talk about it. And I would rather talk about maybe what's going on in the market with the tech sector, what's going on with social media manipulating nostalgia, stuff like that. I will always try to be as broad as possible. And I know many of you will stay for the creator, regardless of what they're talking about. But then other times people would want to talk about, you're known for this thing, so talk about this thing. Luckily, I'm so small, it doesn't matter what I'm known for because some people know me as the Tailosive Tech podcast guy. Some people know me as the music guy. Some people know me as the theme song making guy. There's all these labels and it really doesn't matter because at the end of the day, it's talking about longevity. And the bigger picture is that really, when it comes to tech as a whole, and why I don't always want to talk about a product, is because it's all temporary. What value do I bring talking about the iPhone all the time or the next rumor all the time? It's to build up hype? Sure, maybe, but I don't really cover leaks and rumors. I cover what the implication of the rumors will be. I don't like talking about specs. You don't ever hear me talk about specs. Specs are boring to me. Specs don't matter. Specs don't control the experience. They don't control the narrative. They're just numbers and text on a screen or a piece of paper. It doesn't really matter. You don't care about the spec of my guitar. You care if the song sounds good. There's many more layers to something that would go into that over anything else. You don't care, you shouldn't care. If I just talk about Apple, you should care about the perspective that I provide, right? But even this channel, I'm sure is temporary, because we're all temporary, because life is temporary. This channel can't last forever because I won't last forever. This tech won't last forever. Everything changes. Even how news is covered changes. Short form content, vertical content is the favorite. And yet here I am still making 16:9 long form content with minimal edits and some type of intro, outro, background music, whatever, right? But if we are to care about tech, we should celebrate it for its short lifespan. We should celebrate it for what it is in its moment, because it doesn't really necessarily matter what that tech is 5 years from now. Nobody looks back. Let's rewind that clock back to 2018, 2019. Nobody cared whether I was filming on this exact same camera still or an iPhone XS, 10R. Nobody cares about that tech. Tech is a very short attention span. And that's why I don't always try to always talk about tech, because I want something that's more valuable than short attention span stuff. I can say this with certainty for past videos I've made over the last 10 years. If I wanted to make something that was clickbaity, but also meeting the video's purpose, make something that's trendy, if I wanted to make something that was going to get people's attention, if I wanted to stir the pot, if I wanted to do something, I can. I've done it. But hopefully outside of the marketing tactic I would use to get somebody to click on the video, I hope the message was received more. Specifically, let's talk about this channel. My most viewed video as of recording is the John Turnus video. I knew exactly what I was doing when I made that video, and I knew that video was going to do well. But hopefully the message wasn't about, wow, this guy made all these cool points and look how he was doing B-roll. I hope the video was about John Turnus and understanding who he was. The idea that tech and everything that surrounds tech, people, businesses, and all-encompassing, it's all temporary, makes me appreciate every video that I do make, because even if it's just another random video out there that most people will never see, the people who do, hopefully it serves its purpose in that moment, and then we carry on. I'm not saying that this channel is going away or it's changing or anything like that, but what I am saying is that I hope that my short time here on this earth, if it is to amount to anything, I hope I'm adding value to some capacity to my contributions. I don't want to just be talking about the same thing everybody else is talking about, because it's disingenuous. I'm not going to be excited about every tech product. I'm not going to want to talk about every brand new thing. I want to talk about the things that interest me. So if anything else, you know, every time you watch one of my videos or you listen to one of my audio things, that you know I am telling you the truth, at least from my perspective of what I believe in. I'm grateful for tech for what it's done for me, because tech is art, which is why it's that whole slogan for this channel, because all this would not exist if it wasn't for tech. I just happen to choose to use a Mac ecosystem, an Apple ecosystem, right? But all that would not mean anything if I was just trying to drive clicks and make the next trendy thing. I don't care about the new Beats, Pro, whatever that is. I don't even know what the name is, right? I don't even know what the name is because I don't care about it. I might care about the iPhone SE4. I don't know. Rumors are only rumors until something comes out. But I will still be here to cover all things Apple related and tech related, business related, and trickled in all that, some art related stuff, all the same, when there's stuff to talk about. So even though this is all temporary, doesn't mean it's useless.